to fighting Medicaid fraud on a 3-2-1 basis. For every dollar Minnesota puts in, the feds put in 3. So we're looking for 18 new staff, and that sounds like...
Live from Michigan Avenue, this is Good Day Chicago.
Good morning and welcome to Good Day Chicago. I'm Brian Jackson. Here's a look at some of the stories we're following this morning. Memorial services to honor the late Reverend Jesse Jackson are set to begin a little bit later this morning. Residents in one Chicago neighborhood continue to voice their opinions on what to do at the former Mars Wrigley site. It's cold out there right now, but we are in for a huge temperature jump right around the corner for much of the Chicago area. Guess how much warmer are we talking, Mike?
Tomorrow into the 60s. How does that sound? Yeah. But the weekend, a little bit shaky out there. We're missing a winter storm now and has missed us well to the south. What we have instead are just some pretty cold temperatures. Most of Chicagoland in the 20s. We've got 22 at O'Hare. Joliet a little bit less cold where it's 30. You also have a little more cloud cover. Look at the difference. Clear skies. 14 at Woodstock and Waukegan. You get that cloudiness, see those temperatures closer to 30. Today, I think we're going to max out in the low 40s. Should be fairly pleasant out there with partly to mostly sunny skies. A little bit cloudy in the farther south you are, but this is nothing compared to the warmth we'll enjoy tomorrow. Brian?
A developing story we're following. 4 people are sent to the hospital following a shooting in Chicago's Woodlawn neighborhood. According to police, multiple suspects got out of a car and opened fire, hitting multiple people in the 6600 block of South Stony Island Avenue. Right now, multiple people are being questioned. One man is in critical condition after getting shot in the head. The other 3 victims are expected to be okay. Later this morning, family and friends of civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson will begin to say their final goodbyes. He will lie in repose both today and Friday at the Rainbow Push on East 50th. Doors open this morning at 10 for both days. Jackson passed away back on February the 17th at the age of 84. His family has invited 5 presidents: Donald Trump, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, and George W. Bush. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson will attend the Lying in State. There's a public celebration on March 6th at the House of Hope, then a private services on March 7th. A man just released from an Indonesian prison is now set to appear in a Cook County courtroom later this morning. Tommy Schaefer was sentenced to 18 years in prison for the 2014 murder of Sheila Vaughn Wise Mack. The case became known as the Bali suitcase murder because her body was found in a suitcase in the trunk of a taxi. Prosecutors say that he and his then-girlfriend Heather Mack were trying to gain access to a $1.5 million trust fund. Schaefer is facing several federal charges, including conspiracy to kill someone in a foreign country. Mack is serving a 26-year prison sentence in Chicago. A woman from Maywood is charged in the deadly carjacking of an Uber Eats driver. She's been ordered by a judge to remain in jail. Our Casey Cronin shares the latest details in this court case.
Prosecutors are sharing that the delivery driver was dropping off an order for a doctor at Loretto Hospital when that woman, who is now behind bars, allegedly stole his van and ran him over. What started as a routine delivery ended in a deadly carjacking. Court documents reveal it was the doctor who'd placed an order through Uber Eats who found 28-year-old Daniel Figueroa lying in the street outside the hospital and called 911. Sadly, Figueroa, who lives in the western suburbs, did not survive. Hours later on Monday, police arrested 33-year-old Montoya Perry in Maywood after tracking Figueroa's stolen van using license plate reader technology. Perry is now charged with first-degree murder and carjacking, and she has a long rap sheet with 8 prior felony convictions, including aggravated battery, burglary, and forgery. At the time of Figueroa's killing, Perry was on pretrial release in another incident earlier this month for allegedly resisting and obstructing police. Emotions were running high at the courthouse during Perry's detention hearing. At one point, an argument broke out between the 2 families in the hallway. After the hearing, Figueroa's mom shared her grief.
I just don't want this to happen to anybody else's family. He's 28 years old. I'm not going to let his name go in vain, and I love you, Daniel, wherever you're at. I just pray with the help of the justice system and everyone involved that Daniel gets justice.
Perry has another hearing in this case scheduled in mid-March. Reporting from the Layton Criminal Courthouse, Casey Cronus, Fox Chicago.
One of the women accused of abusing several kids at a daycare in Des Plaines appears in court. Jessica Murillo is facing 15 charges, including 3 counts of felony battery. Prosecutors say that she is seen on camera at a Mother's Touch Learning Academy, forcing a child on the floor, then dragging them by the foot. She's also accused of hitting that same child multiple times in the face the next day. Her attorney claims that the video is missing important information, that there are no complaints reported against her. Isabella Thompson is also facing multiple charges. Murillo will be back in court on March 24th. A local mother of 4 says that her family is separated after her husband's visa was denied, leaving him stuck in Mexico. Ureli Cruz claims that the immigration attorney that they hire failed to prepare her case, and she's left with raising 4 children all on her own. The family traveled to Mexico last month for Miguel Franco's visa appointment. During that appointment, his visa was denied. The family says that he didn't have an unlawful presence waiver, which is a key document required in certain immigration cases. They hired Sarah Dady from Dady Law Group, LLC, to help guide them through the process. Cruz says that after the discovery of the missing document, Dady dropped her husband as a client.
And when we received the email that my husband had been terminated by her, I called her so that she could give me an explanation of why she terminated my husband, or a reason that she would be able to give me. Unfortunately, we were told by her reception that we weren't able to call her or speak to her paralegal.
The family has since hired a new attorney and are planning to file a new waiver. If approved, Franco could possibly return home somewhere between 6 to 9 months. Gilwood residents, they're pushing back against a 500-unit housing plan while supporting another proposal for the former Mars Wrigley site. People packed into the Redeemer Church to give their input on this project. McCaffrey Interest is proposing to build 500 housing units on the 20-acre site. Residents are concerned about congestion due to train traffic and busy streets for those units. Meanwhile, one neighborhood group presented a proposal that includes a new library, a Mars History Museum, a grocery store, and an indoor youth sports center. Neighbors say that they want to be involved in whatever happens next at Mars.
We love our community. We're Gilwood. And for the Mars to have one time been a staple and now it's not, we got to make the most of that property. So that's why we're coming together.
So far, Mars has not sold the property. Multiple neighborhood groups are planning the proposals for this development. An Illinois lawmaker has filed an amendment to the Illinois Employment First Act to help prevent the Chicago Bears from leaving the state. That amendment, filed by Cam Buckner, outlines more tax breaks for the team if they should choose to build their new stadium in Illinois. Coming up at 10 o'clock this morning, the Illinois Revenue and Finance Committee will meet to talk about the mega project bill, which could also apply to other new developments and not just a new stadium. We'll continue to bring you updates on that meeting as soon as they come into the newsroom. Well, defensive linemen and linebackers, they are set to take the stage today at the NFL Combine in Indy. Mike joins us now. And Mike, Bears, they do need to improve that pass rush this offseason.
Max Crosby. I'm sorry, what did I just say? Yeah, we'll see what happens.
They could
right
be having
there.
those negotiations there as well.
Yeah. Well, there are numerous draft prospects that the Bears are going to do a little bit of research on before making their first round pick. They have the 25th choice in the 2026 NFL Draft. Currently, they have majority of their personnel at the Combine, including the newly promoted assistant GM, Jeff King. Our own Cassie Carlson got a chance to speak with him about his new gig.
I remember talking to someone who used to work, he was a scout for the Bears previously, and he said, you don't really see it that often where a former player comes in and is willing to intern, to pick up scouts from the airport and drive them to the practice facility. What drove you in those early days to want to make that transition and do that?
Yeah, I think part of it is you know that stigma is there of being a former player, but too, I knew I didn't want to skip any steps. You go into any business line of work, you're gonna have to pay your dues. There's things that you need to learn. And that's just kind of how I approached it. It's the same way as I was a player. You can't gloss over the fundamentals. So, I just jumped 2 feet in, and, Liz was teasing, making $150 a week as an intern. And, but, I learned a lot. it's definitely been a process of, you know, letting guys know that, like, hey, like, you can do this. Even the other former players, you know, to get their foot in the door, to pay the price, and then you can get your feet wet and show what you really know as a player.
The days could be numbered for starting linebacker Tremaine Edmunds. According to Brad Biggs of the Chicago Tribune, the Bears have granted Edmunds permission to seek a trade. Edmunds did lead the team in tackles despite being kind of banged up throughout the season. The Bears kind of tied up against that salary cap, so parting ways with him would save $15 million in cap space. Here is a look at today's sports schedule. The Blackhawks back in post-Olympic action this evening. They will head south to Nashville, taking on the Predators. Puck drops at 7. The Bulls hosting the Trailblazers at 7. Is that tonight or tomorrow night? I'm not 100% sure on that one. But that game, the Bulls, do you realize they are 0 for February? They have never gone. And it is tonight. All right, so we have it right. It is tonight. If the Bulls lose, they will have completed the first month ever where they did not win a game.
I think they're trying.
You think they're trying? Yeah, well, it's tough. They're all newcomers now, right? All right, let's talk weather-wise here. We have a kind of a quiet start to the morning. A storm system has missed us well to the south. Getting the kids ready to go to school today. They still need that winter coat, even though the afternoon's going to be pretty nice. We'll get in the 40s. Some sunshine at noon, 37 degrees by then. But that chilly start out there definitely warrants some winter gear, maybe the hats and gloves too, especially north. 15 at Woodstock, 14 at Waukegan. You pretty much bank on anywhere in Lake and McHenry County as being in the teens right now. 22 at O'Hare, 26 at the lakefront. The farther south you go, gets a little bit less cold. You've had more cloud cover overnight as a storm system has passed to your south. Barely any wind. So the wind chills are almost exactly the same as the actual air temperature. Let's look at our Weather Authority Futurecast. First of all, today, mostly sunny skies north, a little bit more cloud cover the farther south you are. Let's call it partly cloudy there, but temperatures for most of us getting into the 40s. Then tonight, we set the stage for something special. Tonight's going to be clear, moonlit skies. Tomorrow, uninterrupted sunshine, and I think temperatures, I've been really conservative with temperature forecasting this week. I was going only mid-50s. I'm going bold tomorrow. I'm going to go with a 65 tomorrow. So tomorrow's going to be a warm day. That certainly by February standards. But look what we have here on Saturday. Snow coming into the area in the morning. It's not a lot, but I still think that the greatest impact from round one of snow will be across the northern tier of counties. 42 today, mostly to partly sunny skies. Tonight, we'll drop it down right around freezing under a moonlit sky. Take a look at the 7-day. I'm going to go 65 tomorrow, and then we're dealing with the snow Saturday and another one late Sunday. Mid-30s Monday before the next warming trend, which by the end of next week could get us back into the 60s.
Well, coming up on Good Day, both Bill and Hillary Clinton are set to testify on Capitol Hill over allegations of having ties with Jeffrey Epstein. We'll share the details when we return.
The best.
Can't trust.
Here's a look at some of our top stories. This morning, family and friends of civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson will begin to say their final goodbyes. He will lie in repose today and tomorrow at Ramble Push on East 50th. There's also a public celebration on March 6th at the House of Hope, then private services on March 7th. A man just released from an Indonesian prison is now set to appear in the Cook County courtroom. Simon Schaefer was sentenced to 18 years in prison for the 2014 murder of Sheila Von Wise Mack. Schaefer is facing several federal charges, including conspiracy to kill someone in a foreign country. One Illinois lawmaker files an amendment to the Illinois Employment First Act to help prevent the Chicago Bears from leaving the state. It outlines more tax breaks for the team if they choose to build the new stadium in Illinois. Former President Bill Clinton and former First Lady Hillary Clinton are set to testify on their alleged ties to Jeffrey Epstein over the next 2 days. Hillary Clinton is expected to give her deposition today, while Bill Clinton will give his tomorrow. The depositions are part of the House investigation into Epstein. After months of resistance and negotiations, the couple made a deal with Republicans to avoid being held in contempt with the possibility of receiving criminal charges. The depositions are set to take place near the couple's home in New York and will reportedly be both transcribed and filmed. New reports said that officials are getting ready to release the home of Nancy Guthrie back to her family as crews continue to search for the missing mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. It has now been 26 days since the 84-year-old mother disappeared from her Tucson area home. Investigators have been at the home for hours on Wednesday. So far, FBI officials said if they've received 1,500 new tips since Savannah Guthrie increased the reward to $1 million. Now, Fox Chicago spoke with Crime Stories host Nancy Grace, who has been closely following this case. We asked her to grade the sheriff's department. She's giving the men and women on the ground searching an A++, but the sheriff did not get a glowing review.
As to the Pima County Sheriff, Nanos, maybe a C- if I'm feeling good, more like a D. He needs to learn that silence is golden. He talks too much. He has made one mistake after the next. Just shut your pie hole.
The Guthrie family is offering a $1 million reward for information leading to find their mother. All right, time is now 4:48 as we're checking back in with Mike. Looks like we're going to have a little bit of everything over the next couple of days or so.
It's that time of year, right? We get these big mood swings. It gets warm. We think spring is here for stay. And then we get slapped with a little bit of snow. Today, the snow has stayed well south of Chicagoland. There has not even been that much. Very little of this system left now producing any frozen precipitation of any kind. Here today, we're going to see a mixture of clouds and sun. It will end up being a little bit cloudier the farther south you are. More sunshine from the city and points north. But I think by late afternoon, everybody's in full sun. And that sets the table for a splendiferous day tomorrow. After a chilly night tonight with lows around freezing, a big warm up out ahead of that cold front. You get something called compressional warming ahead of cold fronts. And when conditions are right, that you squeeze the air together. And if you remember from like high school chemistry, maybe physics, you know that that's going to warm the air up when you decrease or you increase its pressure. It warms up the temperature. That will happen, and that's why I've taken my high temperature forecast way up tomorrow. But look what happens. That front goes through here, meaning we get cold air behind it. And there will be a couple waves of low pressure to deal with over the weekend. Snow is possible Saturday. Snow is also possible on Sunday, likely to be divided across the area, with Saturdays favoring the northern tier of counties. Today, a nice one, 42 degrees, partly to mostly sunny skies. Winds coming around to the southwest, about 5 to 15. Brian?
Coming up, a new restaurant set to open in Wrigleyville today. We'll share the details after the break.
All new Tuesdays on Fox.
The Chicago Report wrapped up debates ahead of the March primaries. Candidates running for the 9th U.S. Congressional District made their pitch to voters. One of the biggest questions they were asked about is how they would help keep the executive branch in check.
How did we get here? Congress has relinquished its responsibility, not just in the Trump era, but for longer than that, backing away from its role as the legislative branch, passing laws to actually solve the country's most significant problems, and backing away from its oversight role. And we need people in Congress who are prepared to be muscular and aggressive and fearless.
I feel like this administration has taken our Constitution, ripped it up, and thrown it away. It's time for Congress to act. We cannot wait any longer. And in addition to what Mr. Biss had said, we also need to start looking at the Supreme Court. We need to expand the Supreme Court. There is nothing in the Constitution says that it needs to be limited to 9 members. We need to not only expand the court, but we need to put term limits on. What the court says stays for a lifetime, and we have to live with those decisions.
As much as we want to expand the Supreme Court, as much as we want to pass ranked choice voting, I mean, in this race, someone could win with 20% of the vote. I'd rather lose with RCV than win this way. We can't get that done on day one. I think we need to be a little more creative here. Democrats are still operating as if the only levers of power are legislation and votes and conversations behind closed doors. We need to talk seriously about general strikes, about breaking quorum.
You can watch that entire debate on fox32chicago.com or by using the Fox Local app. Well, Hattie B's Hot Chicken is bringing the Nashville heat here to the Windy City. The restaurant is opening up a new spot in Wrigleyville today. It's located right at Gallagher Way, and this is the chain's first location in Illinois. First 100 people there will get a limited edition Wrigleyville tote bag filled with a lot of merch. Hattie B's started in Nashville in 2012. Since then, the brand has expanded to 5 more states, and more Chicago locations are on the way. The company plans to open 2 more restaurants next year, one in River North at 58 East Ontario, and another in Wicker Park at 1542 North Damon. You a fan of the hot chicken sandwich, Mike?
I've never had a Hattie B's.
I haven't had a Hattie B's, no.
No, I'm kind of intrigued, though. I always welcome, something new there. But, yeah, I would like a spicy chicken sandwich.
I love it, too. Yeah.
We have some kind of hot weather on the way for tomorrow. Certainly by late February standards, it's going to be hot, even if it isn't technically a hot day. Today, what we're looking at is a storm system that has missed us to the south. You take a look at the satellite imagery here, and I'll help kind of clarify a couple of things. Right here is the cloud deck and points south. This is actually cold air that we can detect with our satellite imagery, and you can also see a few clouds here coming across southern Wisconsin. We're going to see a mixture of clouds and sun. I still think the farther south you are, the more cloud cover you will have. But I think all of us are good for low 40s, which is a couple degrees warmer than normal. Mostly to partly sunny skies, and it won't be that windy. Tonight, clear skies, moon be out. We'll have a low temperature right around freezing. It'll be a little colder in some suburbs. But from 32, look what happens tomorrow. A big warmer all week long. I've been on the fence about going for 58. Now I'm diving into the deep end on this one. I think we'll hit 65 tomorrow, which would tie with February 16th as the warmest day so far this year. Plenty of sunshine, a spectacular day tomorrow. It will be windy, but who cares? 38 degrees on Saturday with some light snow coming down, especially I think across the northern tier of counties. And then a second snow possible Sunday afternoon and evening, that one favoring southern portions of Chicagoland. 35 on Monday, and then we start the new warming trend. Tuesday's high with a few showers, 42, 45 on Wednesday. I think the end of next week, we could be close to 60 degrees again. 4:56, we'll be back with more Good Day after this.
Fox Local.
The Cuban government says the 4 people who were shot and killed aboard a Florida speedboat near Cuba's northern coast were Cuban exiles planning acts of terrorism. Cuban officials claimed that the boat entered Cuban waters and began firing at soldiers. Cuban forces then returned fire. 6 other people on the boat were injured in the shooting. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. Coast Guard and Homeland Security are investigating what happened. Cottage cheese sold at Walmart is now being pulled from some of the store shelves.